All right, this Breakout EDU is titled Math Curse. Sarah Madison is the designer. This one is predominantly about exponent rules and scientific notation. It's intended for 8th grade and for small groups. I used 5 breakout boxes within my classes because they were between 20 to 25, and the smaller groups allowed for all the students to be involved. This one takes about 30 minutes, and it is loosely based on the story Math Curse. Some students during the last module didn't do very well. When they went to see their math teacher, she told them that until they took another quiz or test to improve their grade, they'd be put under a math curse. They would have to stay in math class every day. The only way to break this math curse is to open the large box with a secret clue to their success. Help these students break the math curse and find out the clue to your success. So there's the little scenario, and you'll see I have created a paper which can provide as an introduction. Certainly feel free to read it and be as dramatic as you want. It certainly makes it fun. The 3-digit lock needs to be set to 283. The 4-digit is 4719. The word lock is SCALE or scale. The directional lock is down, left, up, left, right. And then the key lock, the key itself will be hidden inside the small box. You'll find that if you follow any of my other breakouts, I typically like something within the small box that forces them to have to do a certain task so that they can't open the large box without opening the small box. I want them to have to accomplish all of the tasks designed for the particular breakout. That way students do all the practice that they can to prepare themselves, whether we're doing a review activity or what have you. Each of the puzzles that are included here, there is a directional clue, as I pointed out. There is an exponent puzzle. There's a scientific notation one, and then there's some release questions from the state. Now I'll start with the exponent puzzle because the exponent puzzle is the one that's probably going to take the most work. You'll notice on this exponent puzzle, you'll see that it's basically combining like terms and using their exponent rules. Before you cut this up into its individual pieces, you're going to need the invisible ink pen, and you'll write the numbers 283 across them in very large numbers so that it covers as many pieces as possible. That way it forces the students to have to put this puzzle together in order for them to actually get those numbers. Again, once you've written those numbers, then you're going to cut this into pieces. You'll shuffle them up and you'll put them inside the small box along with the blue light and the key. Then you also will need, of course, the next puzzle. This gives the 4-digit clue. You'll solve the puzzles, and you'll notice these bold boxes that are placed around here. When the students answer those questions, those are their clue to the 4-digit lock. So as they do that, they'll get their 4-digit lock. Then to find their directional lock, this is a nice little statement, but it's really all about forcing the kids to know left, right, up, down, where does the exponents go or what. So you'll just see within this scenario, while the student is locked inside this math curse, they begin to think about all they had learned recently in math class, hoping that it may help solve one of the clues in order to finally escape. When dealing with exponents, there are a number of clues that you have to keep straight. Sometimes you can get lost in the direction, but it is always a good idea to not get down on yourself. The coefficient is on the left of the variable, and the exponent is the number that is above or up. When writing a number in scientific notation, the number in the largest place value is to the left of the decimal. And then we always follow that with times 10, with the correct power written to the right. Students will accomplish that, and then of course those are underlined, and that gives them their directional clue. Then you'll also notice that we have the word clue, which in fact are our released questions. Of course, if you're doing this from New York State, you're well aware that we have the 8th grade math assessment. So students are forced to answer these released questions, and I've changed the choices instead of being A, B, C, D to have the letters that match up with scale. And so once the students answer that, they'll be able to get into the word lock. I just want to also point out that this paper is kind of describes a little introduction, and I typically put that in every single folder so that they all have the introduction. And then lastly, you'll see attached to that is you did it, you broke the math curse, and that piece of paper is basically placed inside the large box with some sort of incentive, whether it's homework passes, candy, or what have you, inside the large box, and then it is locked up together. So inside the large box would just have that piece of paper and your incentive, if anything. You would put the large hasp on it, and then you'd put the three-digit lock, the word lock, the key lock, and the four-digit lock around it. In a large envelope or folder, you're going to want to place the scientific notation problems, the released questions, the word clue papers. And then remember that exponent puzzle is cut up and put inside the small box, so that's all set. And then on the front of the envelope or folder, I typically will attach the math problem description so that they have that in front. You'll also notice I've included some reflection questions that you're more than welcome to use. I typically like to end at 5 minutes left so that not only I can get those locks reset, but while the students are talking about the problems that they faced, I'm able to get that reset for the next class. Of course, we don't have much time in between classes, so having that time is essential. Um, Other than that, that gives you all of the information. I do want to also show you that if you haven't already used the parking lot is a helpful tool to have students just set the locks on there. So if you don't use one of those, you might want to look that up. And then inside my folder, I've also included some helpful hints. Anytime I do a breakout, I just make sure that these things are kind of covered, especially if a teacher has never done it before. Once the teacher's done it, they typically are more efficient about it. But it does help if teachers have already preset the groups and things are already kind of ready to go, if you will. So you can read through those helpful hints as you start to work on this Breakout EDU. I do find that these are great fun for our students and they get right to work. Good luck.